All right, we are live.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Let me mute that. Let me open this. Cool, cool. Come on, Facebook. There it goes.
All right.
All right. All right. Paste. Come on, post. There it goes. Awesome. All right, I tagged your page,
Mm-hmm.
so that should be good. Let me share it. A couple places that I can share this.
Sorry.
No, you're good. All right. Oh, getting my seat. All right. So we're live. We're recording. We are posted. Let me post it to Twitter really quick. And then we'll be good to go.
Mm.
Are my levels good for you? Can you hear me well enough? Or
Yeah. Am I okay on you?
yeah, you're good on my end.
Okay.
All right. Cool. All right. Cool. We should be good. So if you're ready to go, I'll do the intro and we'll get it going.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Welcome, everybody, to another live and amplified livecast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we are back at it again with another amazing podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. Today, we have Francis Mabborang. I hope I was close enough.
Close enough, but you're good.
Okay, cool.
How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm good. Quite a long day, but I'm getting there.
Yep, I feel you on that one. It's 7:30, and I've still after this podcast, I've still got about 6 more hours of work to do. So
I feel you. I'm also doing live streaming in a new platform where I also do sing, the dance, or chat, hang around. I'm a contracted streamer, so even though life of the day is already finished, take a
yep.
little break and everything in the evening so happening.
Yep, absolutely. I yep, that's currently my life.
Life as a creative in the pandemic, right?
Yep, absolutely. It's funny. It's like talk to a lot of musicians and it's like, "So, what are you doing with all your free time?" And a lot of them are like, "Oh, I'm doing this or I'm doing that." And I'm like, "Oh, I haven't had a spit of free time, but cool." You know,
I feel you.
it's kind of funny. Um, but first off, I want to thank you so much for jumping on the podcast. I really appreciate you for giving us the time to sit down and chat a little bit.
Oh no,
So,
I appreciate you giving artists like me a platform to even showcase ourselves. I really, really appreciate it.
absolutely. So let's kind of talk about you a little bit and get to know you a little bit more before we jump into your creative endeavors, music, live streaming, performing, all that fun stuff. Um, what's kind of your origin story? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So yeah, I'm actually gonna do my intro and usually on my live stream.
Okay.
Hi everyone, welcome to the stream. My name is Francis. I'm a Filipino currently living here in New York City. I'm an actor, singer, dancer, host, and a content creator. So I moved here to New York 2 years ago to pursue performing arts. So I'm a student. I was a student. I graduated last year at the American Musical and Dramatic Academy, which is why I was drinking from my tumbler, through the conservatory program of integrated or musical theater integrated program. And I graduated last year, and I've been since actively doing my best to be in the performance life ever since.
Oh, awesome. And so you moved to New York 2 years ago, straight from the Philippines?
Yeah.
Okay. And what was it about coming over to America? What was it about that appealed to you?
Actually, to be honest, my journey as an artist started way, way, way young. I'm one of those kids who was just drawn into performing into the arts as well. Like unknowingly, I
Hmm.
started as like dancing around in different school events, and then I ended up singing, ended up acting, but I'm stuck most of the time just like dancing,
Hmm.
performing, and all that.
Yeah.
And then because I was also a full time athlete back home,
Yeah.
full time student athlete actually, until I reached college where I have to stop all extracurriculars because I was a consular and diplomatic affairs major.
Mm.
And because I'm the eldest, I'm a Filipino, I'm Asian. I were either be a lawyer, engineer, nurse, doctor, or accountant, or a disappointment.
Yeah.
So tried, I tried to go to be on that route, but it's just there was like a year after I graduated college, I was already like pursuing other stuff, trying to find my life, trying to get my own career.
Hmm.
I found an opportunity to audition to a talent convention, a worldwide casting talent
Yeah.
convention that happened in LA. It's the International Presentation of Performers, or IPOP. And then I auditioned, just taking my chances. And funny enough, the night of that audition, after the audition, because I got a call back. The night before the callback, though, I received my acceptance letter to masters,
Okay.
which is for the Masters of International Business and Social Entrepreneurship
Hmm.
at the Halt International Business School. I didn't pursue it because my parents already said that okay, I wanna. At that time, I was already working in the corporate field, so I said it's best if I should just go with my masters,
Hmm.
right? So it's like, why not? My parents already set for education, but because of that opportunity, it's a major crossroad for me that I have to choose one: masters or the opportunity for me to be in LA and take a shot and doing chasing my dream, my lifelong dream as a performer. So I did, and then ever since I've been coming back and forth in the US. Like this was
Hmm.
2016. I've been coming back and forth in the US to pursue and find opportunities for me to work as an actor or as a performer, which were in about that time I decided and I realized that in one of the biggest ways in order for me to actually pursue it to get proper training, which
Hmm.
is why I went to study. And although I've heard this a lot before, I may have the talent, but I need some nourishment. Like what I always been told. So it's like okay, and I think well, like for the past few years before I moved here, I've been trying to like find my way out as trying to discover more of myself. It was a long process. So continued watching, pursuing here and there, but nothing really progressed. So I
Hmm.
ended up going to the conservatory. I ended up finding AMDA, and that's how I found myself more. That's how I nourished myself to becoming an actor and a performer and a singer as well. Most likely, primarily. So, and ever since I've been hitting the ground running.
Awesome. And so you you mainly or you do a lot of state or Broadway style stage performing, correct?
Yeah, primarily musical theater because
Okay, that's
I was trained, but I'm what the musical theater world, the very rock contemporary voice.
okay.
So even I cannot, as much as we love Phantom of the Opera,
Uh-huh.
Les Miserables, the old classic operatic style songs,
Mhm.
Although I can sing them, it's just that I'm not that stereotypical voice. I'm not the stereotypical look. I'm very androgynous looking. I'm not the leading man material. So it's something that I have to overcome as a person to
Hmm.
find the own artist that I am.
Yeah.
I'm not even classically trained. So I was like, okay, let's see what's gonna happen.
Gotcha, gotcha. So you started performing when you were really young. Was that something you'd mentioned, or was that something that your family also did? Was your family also very creative, or was it just something that you kind of picked up on?
I actually just kind of picked up
Okay.
on. But growing up, I've been a big fan of music,
Okay.
and because of my family as well. Like, because Filipinos are very known for karaoke.
Hmm.
In any party, in any occasion, we're gonna do karaoke
Okay.
because one, karaoke is invented by a Filipino but patented in Japan. But and then my mother, primarily my grandfather, my mother's side, maternal grandmother, maternal grandfather,
Hmm.
he's really good in guitar. That's how we picked up music as well.
Hmm.
And for my family, like literally love to sing. We can carry out a lot of karaoke's and everything. And what's interesting is that um when we do karaoke, because they love the Beatles. My parents are born in the 60s.
Yeah.
So if there's a song that's been there's a Beatles song that has been sung, automatically every Beatles song that has ever known that has ever been released has to be sung.
Uh
And
huh.
then we're gonna move on with Bee Gees and then stylistics, sticks, even every like all the classic rock songs. We're gonna go one by one, and then we're gonna move to disco. We're gonna go to 70s, 80s rock, and
Hmm.
then they're gonna leave us alone
Yeah.
because it's the 90s, and all of those are like our era already.
Yeah.
Like there's always going to be one in the family that's very rock influenced, like with Deep Purple, Scorpio, and everything. That has become a thing. So
Yeah.
it's something that in my family has been engraved and like has been nourished as well in our end. So that's how I grew up. Even
Okay.
my dad is like he loves the crooner ones. Like he loves My Way. He
Uh huh.
loves Matt Monroe, Engelbert Humperdinck. Those. That's why when I say those names, like people were like, "Why do you know those names? Why do you know those
Yeah.
singers?" It's like blame my parents, like at least because I know these songs because of them.
Yeah.
That's why I keep on telling them, and I enjoy it because. And to be honest, the last concert that I attended with my family was Engelbert Humperdinck back in the Philippines,
Oh wow.
and
Yeah.
his voice is still the same.
Yeah. I
It's a classic.
Yeah, I think that's like one of the things that's really interesting is all the musicians that like all out of everybody I've talked to, the one common thing is their parents introduced them to some sort of music that helped mold them as a musician or as a creative in general. Like, and that's how they've kind of styled themselves.
I
It's
agree. I
yeah,
agree. And then one way or another they're gonna find themselves on what kind of
yeah,
music they would be interested in. Like for me, my initial interests were always going to be pop rock,
hmm,
and then I suddenly had the interest with slow rock, with
hmm,
glam rock as well. Like
yeah,
honestly, by Harem Scarum, Bon Jovi, and
yeah,
everything.
yeah,
And then my brother, who is much more of a musician than I am, because both of us learned how to play. Tried to go to learn new instruments
yeah.
to play an instrument. I really wanted to play the violin, but my mom said that's too expensive. Go with piano instead.
Okay.
My brother wanted guitar. My mom said, just go guitar. It's like, I don't want to go with the same thing as my brother.
Hmm.
So I was like, I ended up learning a bit of the piano for like good 12 sessions.
Yeah,
My brother is for guitar. The problem was at the time, because pianos are too expensive, like early
yeah,
2000s. So I wasn't able to practice on my own. Unlike my brother who has a guitar, it's much more cheaper. It's easy access,
yeah,
and we have a lot of guitarists in our family, so he has the time to practice. He has a lot of resources to do
yeah,
so. But unlike for me, I have to wait every week in order for have to find a way in order for me to practice my lessons.
yeah.
But funny enough, my brother is a much more of a natural of a musician than I am because he was able to learn how to play the piano on his own.
Hmm.
He had his In a matter of years, he was able to put up his own band set.
Oh wow.
Like he has his own bass guitar at one point. For I remember Christmas, he asked for an electric guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Birthday, which was about a month later, he asked for a bass guitar. And then graduations, which is like months later, he asked for a drum set. So that's how he progressed.
Wow.
I know. I was just like, that's quite a disadvantage on my end. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what I think is really funny is you originally wanted to play violin, and your mom said no, it's too expensive. Go learn to play the piano. And it's like piano is just as expensive, if not more expensive, depending on.
Exactly. It's much more expensive. But and that's the thing as well. Like I was like, okay, it's because only reason I got into that is because of my brother. If it weren't for my brother having expressing his interest on learning how to play an instrument, I
Mhm.
wouldn't be exposed myself.
Yeah.
But to be honest though, I'd rather have my that at first thoughts I'd rather go with voice lessons
Yeah.
instead. But that didn't happen.
Yeah. Do you still play the piano at all, or is that kind of something that?
No, I
No.
can pluck my way out of it,
Okay.
but I'm not as a musician that I
Yeah.
wanted as much as I wanted to be. If
Yeah.
I had the time to actually spend my time to be in the piano and focus, I
Yeah.
probably would have known how to play a good amount of songs.
Gotcha. So, but like, as as far as trying to fool other musicians, you're not a piano player, but if you were put on the spot, like, hey, play us a song to just
I
the
know
any of
a
them.
few songs in the
Yeah.
piano, like
Okay.
1,000 miles as well.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah.
I know
So
how to
you
do Let It Be,
okay.
Hey Jude.
So
So yeah, see Beatles.
you could fool a drunk friend that
Yeah, I
tries.
could fool a drunk friend. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Got it. Um, do you and your brother ever play music together at all, or is
Yeah, we used to jam a lot. If
okay?
it weren't for him, though, I wouldn't have been interested with a lot of modern alternatives, pop rocks, like an emo. I've had the emo phase as well,
Yeah. Yeah.
like My Chemical Romance, Fall Out Boy, Green Day,
Yeah.
Maroon 5, Simple Plan, all those bands.
Yeah.
Like there was like an era that is full of bands. I'm around like early 2000s.
Yeah.
If it weren't for him, I wouldn't have been exposed into that one. And that's how I started slowly finding my voice.
Yeah.
And then I suddenly got involved. I suddenly got interested with R&B and then pure pop. So that's how I maneuvered my way until I went to high school, wherein I ended up doing theater.
Mm-hmm.
My first theater show that I did in drama club or theater club is Les Mis, where I was the pimp. And then months later, I did Miss Saigon.
Mm-hmm.
So like full blown musicals, and then we did Shakespeare. So that's how I found myself into the arts, where really found myself in theater. That's how I kind of molded everything there.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That's really cool. So you've been in New York for about 2 years. What is New York kind of the place you want to stay, or do you see yourself moving out to LA or?
To be honest, though, the first time I stepped into New York, I was in my undergrad as a counselor in diplomatic affairs. I was uh, I was doing the conference from National Model United Nations at the UN headquarters.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know if it happened to you. There would be moments in life wherein you would step into a place and suddenly your soul just sinks in and feels like it's home.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then when 3 weeks later, as I was going back home, I felt like my soul is no longer with me.
Yeah.
It That's what I felt.
Yeah.
Until years later, I came back to New York. I said, after the IPOP conference, like a month after the IPOP conference, I got called by a talent management company who's interested to sign me.
Mm-hmm.
When I went back, like literally my soul says, "You're back." Like literally, something that sells in like in the back. You're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
you're back."
Yeah.
Like saying, "Welcome home," but
Yeah.
you
Okay.
are sure that you're not gonna settle. So it became a natural instinct and mission in my at that time that I have to find a way to move to New York.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Yeah.
So it felt like New York really called me,
Yeah.
my soul.
And you belong, or you feel like you belong there because just for whatever reason it feels.
Just for whatever reason, until like years later when I suddenly told myself, and I've decided, like, you know what? My parents wanted me to study.
Mm-hmm.
and pursue a traditional career. And I said, if I'm gonna study, I'd rather go with with the one that I really really wanted to do,
Hmm.
which is performing arts. And I one besides I need training anyway, so why the heck not, right?
Yeah.
So I had to
And
fight. I have to fight for it. I have to prove to them that I can make it and I can do it as well.
mhm.
So it was something that quite of a journey for me because naturally for music and performing, my brother is the one they're gonna think of, not me.
Yeah.
So I had to prove and fight for myself about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And but you did also go the more traditional academic route and graduated before you started pursuing your. Uh,
Exactly.
so you do like if for whatever reason things fall through and you have like a really bad experience or something happens, you have that to kind of fall back on. And I know because I'm in the same boat as you are. Like I want to be out doing my own thing, doing my creative passion and want to make that work. But in my parents' eyes, it's like you're
While you're
going
wasting
to,
your life.
yeah. Well, not so much that it's you you want to be safe. Like they don't want you to be
Yeah, there's
out with
something there's safety in it. I mean, I think it's a natural instinct by a parent though.
yeah,
I mean, I cannot blame them. They're
yeah,
parents.
yeah,
Um, I always tell them there's no safety.
yeah.
There is no safety. Even though I, this is what I always say. Even though you can, it doesn't mean you should.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So even
Now,
though I can be in this career with, let's say, the genius that I am,
yeah.
it doesn't mean that I should be pursuing this career, this path in my life. And that's what I always tell them because I know for a fact this is not where I'm gonna grow. This is not where I'm gonna live, and this is not what I am meant to do. And like with regards to that question, I even had the kind of I had a teacher back in the conservatory ask me, told me, "So you're supposed to be a lawyer. Then why the heck are you becoming an actor?"
Yeah.
My retaliation is simple as that. She said, so if you're a big shot Broadway director, then why the heck are you a teacher?
Yep. Oh yeah. What actually, what's quite funny though is I know a lot of like this is a little bit of a strange parallel, but my buddy is a lawyer, but he's also one of the best actors I've ever seen in my life. Like he's been in some pretty decent sized movies and that's like his real passion. But unlike you, he went more towards the lawyer side of things and he does acting on the side, whereas you just went full straight into the creative aspect and component.
Yeah, I want to go full in because I know there is nothing for me in that. Although I have the mind, the understanding, the brilliance,
Yeah.
the disposition, the degree, let's say, it's just that it's not for me. I'm not gonna be satisfied. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna quote Angelica Schuyler, like I'll never be satisfied.
Yeah.
I'll never be satisfied.
Yep.
I'll never be satisfied. So I was like, nope, not gonna be satisfied at all.
Yep. I got you. As far as so acting is your main priority and then dancing and singing are just kind of like secondary passions, or what would you say your main passion is as far as your.
It's always good. It became there was a point in the conservatory asked, oh, you have to find associate figure out yourself. What are you? A singer, especially for musical theater. Are you an actor, a singer, or a dancer? Rank yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I would like to say all.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I would like to say all, but I'm not the Broadway type of a dancer where like I can like do I'm like
Yeah.
classical trained and I cannot, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
a classically trained singer, although I can sing classical like very traditional like Caro mio ben, credi mio ben. And I can act because hello, everyone can act, but because of certain technique, you have to focus on a certain way. Um, I would always say very equal. I may
Okay.
not be the best, but I always trying to hone each and every aspect equally.
Okay.
Especially as a theater performer in musical theater, you have to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
I want the Broadway community world would say a mover, not a dancer.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you're kind of able to jump into any situation that they
Yeah.
might need you to fill.
Yeah, but again, I'm not like for a dancer singer, or like, I'm not the traditional singer, I'm
Yeah.
not the traditional dancer, not the traditional actor. So I'm very ambiguous, not only because, especially touching on the light of people of color in the industry. uh it's a very long discussion, but
Yeah.
I would say for Filipinos, we're always going, of all Asians, we're the ones being boxed out because we're the darkest of all Asians. We're the most articulate speaking with regards of Asians,
Mm-hmm.
and we're also what they call the Hispanic Asians or the Mexican Asians,
That's I.
which is okay, but not okay.
Yeah.
It's a backhanded thing. You know what I'm trying
Yeah.
to say? See, if
Yeah.
they cannot
It's
find something that we could play, someone that could be uh, that could play a Latino or a Hispanic. So in a Filipino, they can sound like one.
uh,
Or because of their color, we're brown people as well. So it's like,
nope. We're kind of our own thing over here. Like we want the representation as well. I.
exactly. Which is, I'm so happy that, especially in the middle of the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
with what's happening with, if it weren't for our friends in the black community, if it weren't for their leadership, if they didn't spark all these things,
Mm-hmm.
representation would not happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of the pandemic, I was kind of trying to figure out how long into the podcast I wanted to wait until we brought up the pandemic. Uh, because it is one of those things where originally it was just like, okay, we're not going to talk about the pandemic. We got 800 other things we can talk about. But then as we're what 8 9 months into this thing,
It's hard
it,
not to talk about the pandemic though,
yeah, it's just kind
because
of
it took on most of the
20.
2020, and
Yep.
especially for us, for theater, for thespians,
Yeah.
it's gonna extend because Broadway shut down already until May 2021
Oh, really?
for
You
another
got.
full season.
Oh wow! I didn't like. That was going to be like my question was, what's kind of the scale as far as shutdowns for you guys? But 2021 or May of 2021. So you're looking at.
Yeah, so basically the entire season,
Mhm.
another entire, because normally a Broadway season would start after the Tony Awards. Tony Awards is the ending of the season, right? It's always in June.
Yeah.
Normally a season would start on August, September,
Okay.
fall, around fall area, and then would end on Tony Awards.
Okay.
So
And then
imagine a full season that has been shut down.
yeah,
It's insane.
that's yeah, that's not. And like, what about like doing even on the smaller end? So you got you're talking on the aspect of like Broadway and like the bigger theater companies. Are there thoughts of like the smaller, more local community theater?
There was a time that at the beginning of the year I booked a show. I was supposed to play Pepe
Okay.
on a production of West Side Story in Pompton Lakes, New Jersey.
Hmm.
We were supposed to run like around Easter week,
Hmm.
but because of the pandemic, we got affected.
Yeah.
So I'm all gonna always say it would always take precedence. So if the big hubs like New York and LA would shut down, big productions would shut down,
Hmm.
small productions are gonna shut down,
Yeah.
smaller theaters are gonna shut down.
Yeah.
If Broadway shut down, off Broadway was gonna shut down, off Broadway is gonna shut down. What more for regional theaters? What more for community theaters?
Hmm.
And there was actually a time as well that I booked a gig for a socially distanced outdoor theater
Hmm.
at the somewhere in um here in New York on the Upper West Side. But it also got canceled because a lot of the, although we were all rehearsing in Zoom,
Hmm.
we're doing as much as we can online because
Yeah.
everything now is online based and Zoom based.
Yeah.
We're dedicating the last week of the entire show to rehearse and block ourselves so that we can also limit, meeting each other
Yeah.
and putting up circles on the grass so that we can, even the audience can socially isolate.
Yeah.
Like what the hair tour, the small touring hair company of hair
Yeah.
in the UK is doing with Matt Crow, with Millie as well. That's what they're doing, very outdoor. But we weren't able to do so. We were supposed to be the first physical theater happening in New York, but
Yeah.
it
Everything.
literally had to,
Yeah. I completely get it. Um, what are some of the roles or theater productions you've been involved in? Just like some of the bigger ones.
Um, I'm not as big as I would think. Actually, the biggest show that I have done is a touring company of a children's touring TYA. We call it a TYA. It's a
Hmm.
theater for young audience. It's a touring
Okay.
company of Rainbow Fish, the musical, which is actually based from the book, the
Hmm.
children's book, Rainbow
Yep.
Fish. I played the sardine and the clown. The clownfish, right? Not the clown, the clownfish.
Yeah.
It's a clown. And supposedly I'm gonna play Moet for a Shakespeare production of Love Sleepers Lost, which is the first, supposedly the first physical theater that's gonna happen outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
And I was supposed to play Pepe for a wet production of West Side Story in
Yep.
Jersey. And a part of that, there's like a lot of things that has been passed as well. Like people have done. I was in the middle of a callback, but got canceled. Everything got canceled. In the middle of because as actors, we always have to audition every single day.
Yeah.
And apart from that, right now actually I'm quite lucky that the show, the stage reading that I did last year
Mm-hmm.
got picked up for a developmental run that is also going to run on October 23 and 24 via Zoom with an exclusive invite link.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
Yeah, it got picked up because it's called The Panic Defense,
Mm-hmm.
and it is the show that written and directed by Sam Afamado. It is a collection of shows wherein it's a depiction of four different characters, victims of the panic defense or gay panic defense. That is actually also got picked up for Pride Plays.
Mm-hmm.
That was sponsored by Brendan Urie and Playbill. So we did a little excerpt of that three monologues for the four of among the forecast and got presented to Pride Place, and now it got picked up for a little revival of an online production of that one for the new developed version. And I'm happy because I'm also retained. Most of the cast are still the same,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm really really happy because if you guys know the story of Larry King, the young queer child that has been shot in a computer class, uh, my role, Benny, is based on that kid.
Oh, wow.
And it's also a reference, and there's a number more of like queer LGBTQ people characters that are referenced in that one because of the term panic defense. And it
Mm-hmm.
is also to give light on hatred with regards to LGBT and people of color.
Mm. Awesome. Awesome. That should be. What's the or that's not. What's the date that's supposed to happen, or is
Oh,
that
it's
not?
going to be on October 23 and 24 on a
Okay.
Zoom, a private Zoom link. So I can
Okay.
send you the details as well if you'd like to register about it.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. And then outside of theater, music, all that fun stuff, what's some stuff you like to do with your free time? What do you like to kind of?
Luckily enough, though, like 3 months in the pandemic, I'm like everyone has been sluggish, trying to catch up on everything that they can watch, and I was like, shit, like relying on whatever quote unquote stimulus that they were able to. Because I was working at Madison Square Garden as a runner,
Okay.
VIP runner, for like 2 weeks in when the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And like March, April, May, they were giving like a weekly
Yeah.
stimulus to like help their employees, but they
Yeah.
have to end it at the end of May. And then, lucky enough, I was able to secure a job for a startup production company
Mm.
that works for Amazon Live as a creative director.
Okay.
I was supposed to be one of the hosts,
Oh.
presenters, and then the owner tapped me weeks later to become the creative director.
Oh, wow.
And like I'm the first full time, apart from the tech lead the technical director, now
Yeah.
the technical director that has been working for us a long time. I'm the first one that he hired full time who's been working with him ever since June.
Oh,
And
wow.
then our team expanded, like the talent number one became our joined the team a month later, became our talent manager. And I'm still doing my hosting and acting duties and presenter duties as well. And then we added a number of people to help us because it literally this growth is very very steep.
Yeah.
And it's a marrying of e-commerce and video production,
Okay.
because we're still working for Amazon, which is a
Yeah.
big e-commerce thing,
Yeah.
but they have their own platform called Amazon Live. So it's a new like live streaming platform like
Mhm.
QBC, like Home Shopping Network, or those late night TV shows where you just
Yeah.
like call now for you to blah blah blah. Blah. It's
Yeah.
something like that, but very virtual.
Okay.
So that's what we do, and we provide different video content materials for that for them as well.
Okay.
And apart from that, yeah, I do live streaming as well. Like I know a lot of actors went to Twitch for
Oh yeah.
because to as because they're into gaming,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
Twitch was primarily for gaming, or made their own YouTube channel for just for them to like post their own covers or do
Mhm.
their own vlogs or
Yeah.
cooking shows or whatever. A lot of actors ended up doing cooking, baking,
Yeah. So
sourdough primarily. A lot of I've been
whatever
seeing
the
a lot of sourdough photos.
okay.
Yeah, and that's how I ended up like at the beginning of August. That's where I got contracted to be um a a certified live streamer
Mhm.
for a new platform called Live It. So
Okay.
I've been live streaming every single day there, and it's been going great so far.
Nice.
But right now, because it's like expanding and there's a lot more people coming in, people are finding out about Live It, wanted to become a streamer as well.
Mhm.
And we have to audition actually, because a funny how I got that gig is that through backstage.
Okay.
So like even though in the pandemic there are still small productions like trying to pursue their acting,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
their indie life or whatever, like even for like a Zoom reading,
Yeah.
would do it. I also did a couple of Zoom shows,
Yeah.
both
Well,
Shakespeare. Like a friend of mine started an acting a collective called Hold Space Theater Collective,
mhm.
and one I participated in their first two shows, both Shakespeare. First
Yeah.
is The Merry Wives of Windsor, where I played Robert Shallow, Justice Robert Shallow, and the second one was Cymbeline, where I played Guiderius, one of the brothers. So that's how I at least able to like keep myself sane with regards to the pandemic, and also helping one of my good friends who also started his own podcast and through Anchor.
Mhm.
Um, his name is Anthony Piccioni. He's also a writer, producer, and a director. I read for a develop first draft of his play, which is One Empire, One God, which is also now about to happen this week
Oh, nice.
on streaming. So through, I think it's going to be Facebook or Zoom or exclusive link.
Mm.
So that's how I at least managed to keep myself sane.
Mhm.
And there was a point as well where in Instagram I would go with uh like I call quarantines.
Mhm.
I like almost every week I would post a song that I love to cover. I'd like to see if I can demo
Yeah.
and all that, and just
Now
like keeping myself sane.
are those original songs or are they more covers?
They're more of a cover. I was working on some original songs, but I don't want to like put anything out there yet because
Yeah.
it's still under development.
Gotcha.
I do really wanted to start putting up my own music soon,
Mhm. Okay.
but I don't wanna. I'm quite of a perfectionist with regards of making
Yeah.
my own craft. Even I was even able to write my own play,
Okay.
so that's how particular I was. Like I'm very very particular. I'm very and I don't wanna like I have as like there's something wrong. There's send back even just for one thing. Send it back like
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
That's how I am.
Gotcha. Gotcha. As far as like your original music, like not to put too much out there, what would your ideal song? Would it be like a song, an album, a collection of songs? Like what would
For
be
now, I have a collection of songs. I
okay.
have some songs that I have on deck that that are in development.
Okay.
One of my biggest inspirations, to be honest, as when I started diving into writing my own songs, because before I was doing some writing lyrics. I'm a
Hmm. Yeah.
quote unquote lyricist,
Yeah.
and then that's how I slowly dove into composition. Even in the conservatory, there was like an elective as music composition.
Hmm.
I have a song that was able to write in weeks that we were able to like finish, And then I would like to further develop that song and rearrange that song and find a better version of that song. But because I was also actively um, being taking classes, voice classes,
Yeah.
with a musical theater singer, composer, writer. His name is Drew Gasparini. I don't know if you've heard his name. He released an album earlier this spring about new album, concept album called "We Aren't Kids Anymore," and I've been a fan of his music for a while now. If it weren't for musical theater, I've discovered him through one of my classmates, and I've gone to some of his concerts. And I, after conservatory, I needed to, sometimes you have to like get lessons in order for like to keep your
Yeah.
engines running. I ended up taking classes with him,
Oh wow.
so that I was able to work with him, and because I love his music, I love his. When he released his new music album called "We Aren't Kids Anymore,"
Mm-hmm.
it was the night where my paternal grandmother died.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was quite a powerful song. Plus, there's a song in there called "I'll Stick Around"
Mm-hmm.
that I'm still trying to like finesse because I really want to cover that song.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's amazing. It's just amazing because it hits like at that time at the height of pandemic.
Yeah.
I said like especially where I am right now as an international artist, it says like I'll stick around.
Yeah.
It's like I'll stick around no matter what's gonna happen. It's like wherever I am, I'm just gonna be here. I'm gonna fight for what I have to do because I've already wasted a lot of resources. I've already put sacrificed a lot. I've even sacrificed the luxurious life I have in the Philippines, where I have my own condo unit, I have my own chauffeur, I have someone who can clean my place, someone who can I can just call in to cook food for me, or I can just have something delivered,
Mm-hmm.
and the luxury of having my parents over there, like I can just go there whenever I want. Like compared to now, I'm like alone in a big city
Mm-hmm.
halfway across the world.
Yeah.
So it was a very different dynamic.
Yeah. I've, was when the pandemic hit, was there concern that you may have to go back to the Philippines, or was it
I'm on OPT, so I'm quite okay. But
okay?
there was at that time because for OPTs you cannot be unemployed for more than 90 days collectively in that entire year.
Yeah.
Good thing though, I'm still able because it's a pandemic and I'm here. My parents really wanted me to go back home, and I said, you know how much it takes, like thousands of dollars one way.
Yeah.
That's just one way, and there's no indefinite time when can I come back. Plus,
Yeah.
I was vouching for everything, for my O1 and everything, and I said I'd rather stay here, do everything, do the best I can, just
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of my international friends went back home
Yeah.
like expecting to come back like May.
Yeah. Yeah. That
But
was
what time is it now? It's already October.
yeah. That was very much a thing. I talk to a lot of people. I know I have a lot of musicians that I know through the podcast that live over in London, and they live all in all different parts of the world. Like one lives in Portugal, one lives in Mexico, just all over, and they all went home, and now they're trying to get stuff together for their
To come
band
back
because they're
here.
all in like one band, and
Not
they're
only
trying to
that,
get
especially with the debacle we're in over the course of the summer about the current administration is like doing something against international students,
yeah.
and the OPT and the O1 is being spared and everything. It was a big debacle because a lot of my international friends who are still at school
Hmm.
are now being kicked out of the dorms.
Oh no, yeah, I I do remember.
There was a
I,
time like that everyone was panicking, like they don't know what to do,
yeah.
and they have to like rent, they have to spend thousands of dollars in order for their entire belongings to be stored
Hmm.
like indefinitely, and then they have to spend like thousands of dollars a month, which
Yeah.
is not really worth it. And I was like, why wouldn't you house your international students
Yeah.
at this time of pandemic that cannot go home?
Yeah.
It was a
It
big debacle.
Yeah, I mean, where I'm currently in Central Texas, and I live in a town of a pretty decent size university, Baylor University, and then there's like big universities all around where I currently live, and I think it was Baylor that said they weren't not I like this is the wrong verbiage that they used, but it's the only way I know how to word it. But they basically said they weren't inviting their international students to come back because
Yeah. Which is, to be honest, this is what this is my biggest disposition, and this is my biggest argument. Why is it that American educational institutions would lure international students
Mhm,
in and use us as their major cash flow? Because we
mhm,
cannot even study if we cannot even pay at least half or full of the tuition fee. And then compared to the Americans who can live with loans, and us would be your direct cash loan for you to spend and pay your teachers, your staff, your education, put your salaries into your mouth, put your facilities. And then right now, in the time we're being kicked out and being deported, you are not even gonna save us. Like, what the hell?
mhm,
It was a big thing. That it was a big thing. Like, I was like literally telling this before, and I was calling even some of my the alliances that we have, like with the people of color in the black community, is because people think we're immigrants. Oh yes, we are. You can classify as immigrants, but technically, with what our visas is, we're non-immigrants.
mhm.
So understand the disposition that we have. As much as we would like to support you guys with regards of your political stances, especially with what's happening with this current administration, we cannot, because once we get called out, we're gonna be deported. We're gonna be sent back home because anything can be used against us. Anything
Yeah,
that has been published or whatever. That's why I keep on telling them. So please understand where our position is. We support you, but this is where we stand because we cannot really. We're limited, and
mhm,
now we're the ones needing help. Where the hell are you guys?
yeah, I
It's like you guys are also benefiting. You know that because if it weren't for international students paying their tuition fees full,
mhm,
you cannot get into a school because um educational loan system relies on foreign investments, which
yeah.
especially foreign investments, 5% are actually coming from international students.
Oh wow, yeah. I didn't.
Imagine, for example, like a conservatory like where I came from. If we cannot even get any scholarships or grants. That's the thing. We have to provide that we are capable to pay this amount of money in a semester or in a year.
Oh,
For example, in the semester, there was in my semester, my first semester, there's only like 10 students, 10 international students, let's say.
mhm, yeah,
And then our tuition fee for the month, for the entire semester is like 20, 40, 20 or 40, 20,000,
mhm,
20, 25,000, let's say.
yeah,
And they're not even going to give you the quotation, the general quotation. They will depend on which country are you from. Because there was one time that I had to, we were talking about some of my co-fellow internationals, coyly, like, what? How are you paying this one? I'm paying this certain amount of money. Like in a year, I had to pay $55,000, $65,000
yeah,
in a year. So let's say my alone, let's say that is not an actual price that I have paid. Okay, I'm just gonna
yeah,
put that as
yeah.
a
It's
perspective.
just yeah, yeah.
Okay,
It's just a number.
and divided into two semesters, which is like 30 to 40, or let's say 40,000, let's say a
Yeah,
semester, and then you have 10 students, you have 400,000 automatically
yeah,
in one semester, a direct cash flow,
yeah,
which is ridiculous.
yeah, yeah. And like, I mean, for me, I got a little lucky with school. Um, I went to a community college, and
Mhm.
so that tuition there was I think like $2,000 a semester, like to it plus like whatever books cost, and books were, books are what books are. And so like that ate up a good majority of what my eventual degree, like when I went in to get my bachelor's degree, what I'd get at a foreign university. But what's all like, I mean, so I got really lucky in that aspect as far as not having coming out of school with like $150,000 in student loan debt. You know, like my sister did. She went to a private Catholic school, and so she came out with like all this debt, and
Yeah, I know, which
so
is ridiculous because It's a scam.
Yeah, it
The
really is.
American educational system is like as a scam,
Yeah.
which is
Well,
ridiculous.
and
To be
what was
honest, at that time of that height, though, we were like, I no one was daring calling out our teachers. I was like,
yeah,
I dare. Where are my dance teachers? Where are my acting teachers? Where are my voice teacher?
yeah,
Where are my musical theater teachers? And where's there's the staff that I know I'm friends in Facebook.
yeah,
I enlisted down. It's like, where the hell are you?
yeah. Well, the
You are
funny,
you not talking about your students who are primarily giving you your salary?
yeah,
If it weren't for international students not having you guys, they're paying in behalf of the entire class.
hmm
Where are you to actually
help.
talk about? And there's only one teacher who spoke about it. And
Yeah,
there was like a number. I even because I even as an international student, you can only work 20 hours a week at a school, and that's the only thing you can work on. You cannot work outside,
yeah,
which is like it's ridiculous,
yeah,
and that's what we have to deal with.
yeah. Well, because I remember I remember this night specifically clearly as the moment that I realized the American education system is a scam. It was the night before my college graduation. Me and my buddies were all blackout drunk, like just
Mhm.
annihilated drunk,
Typical college life.
typical college life. And the night before graduation, I get a call from our alumni association saying, "Hey, we saw you just graduated. We want you to sign up for the college alumni association and make a donation." And without even hesitation, I yelled into the phone, "I'm X amount of dollars in debt. What the fuck makes you think I could afford to donate to the alumni association? I haven't even started paying my student loans back," and I just hung up on them.
Oh
But
yeah, like that's what's insane. Like a lot of alumni associations are not even helpful.
yeah, it's yeah.
It's
But
ridiculous.
not to turn this into one of those types of podcasts, but no, we're on the same page. I 100%
But
agree.
hey, I am enjoying it.
Yeah, yeah,
I've been to a number of podcasts. Like literally, I I'm the type of person that wouldn't really, literally would just speak my mind.
yeah,
But this is all what I like about it as well, and how we went everything,
yeah,
on how we directed. Is like how an international artist like me have to undergo, because
yeah,
this is what not people realize, and this is not what people see.
yeah.
We would romanticize a foreigner, and people would always think, oh, they're the rich kids
Mm-hmm.
just because they have to pay for something. But no, people don't that doesn't understand the realities of that. Like at this time, like a lot of like locals, and I would like
Yeah,
say American students, like they're the ones that you're running to for you to get an access of alcohol or cigarettes or whatever vice you may have. But you're the one endangering them, because they're the ones have to put up their names and their life on the line for you guys,
mm-hmm.
which is sadly like being outshunned by a lot of stuff as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the thing, because we're not apart from us being an international artist. We're already being limited. We're also being outshunned, because if we don't have our if we are not in our artist visa, we're not even gonna be considered.
Mm.
Or I've seen like white passing Latinas, or white passing Mexicans would
Yeah,
even play an Italian. I was like, huh? If we're not even like white passing,
yeah,
it's we're not even gonna be given any opportunities.
yeah,
Which that's the sad thing.
yeah.
Which
It
is
really is, and it's not right. Like, yeah, it's just not right. But
it's just not right. And that's how good thing, if it weren't for in the middle of the pandemic, like a lot of like developments, like even lately casting a lot of main casting companies like
yeah,
Chelsea and Company, Tara Rubin,
yeah,
and Michael Casar have been speaking about representation,
yeah,
because we there was also a time wherein the people of color community in Broadway talk about, hey, look at these casting companies, look at their staff, look at they
yeah,
don't even have a single person of color in their staff.
yeah,
I
yeah,
was like, we were like, oh wow.
yeah,
I was like, why didn't we see that one coming?
Yeah.
And then lately I've seen like a number of companies are like literally opening up. This one's like, okay, we see you do the effort, now walk the talk.
Yeah.
Like, because sadly, even in the Western world, like westernization and bastardization of martial arts, because I also used to do stage combat and I was a martial artist, like how they romanticize stage combat and martial arts. And sometimes I would say you should, the word martial arts is like literally an art form of combat. But when it regards to stage combat, when they use martial arts, like actual fighting, but no, that's not it. It's it's an art of discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's because, and that's what I have a lot of discussions as well with some people who are into stage combat, because one of my first acting gigs was the New York Renaissance Fair,
Mm-hmm.
where I also did stage combat. Like, no, I'm not gonna, especially as an Asian, as a Filipino who have studied, I was a black belt in Taekwondo
Yeah.
and been competing competitively. And you say martial arts to me, I have a different thing. But this is what martial arts is, and this is what the ideology of the Westerners with regards to martial arts.
Mm.
Like we had a long this debate on that. And no, you cannot correct me, even though you're much more certified with regards of a broadsword or a dagger or a rapier,
Mm-hmm.
and Kali, which is a Filipino like sticks,
Mm-hmm.
or Eskrima is a Filipino martial art. You're not gonna lecture me because this is not how it is. Us, martial arts is a way of life. Like, as cheesy as it is,
Yeah.
we don't use it for violence.
No.
And you guys are depicting violence, and you have to be careful about how you guys, like, how to tread that one,
Mm-hmm.
and how you everything has been romanticized. And that's a sad thing about it as well in regards of the arts and music as well. Like, I've seen lately that the rise of like K-pop, basically
Mm-hmm.
they're romanticizing girl bands, but
Yeah.
and K-pop and different kinds of music references.
Yeah.
I mean, K-pop wouldn't be that the early, because I was into K-pop as well
Yeah.
before, like the early waves, the Hallyu wave.
Yeah.
We're in with Wonder Girls to anyone, Super Junior, Shiny. They wouldn't be setting the precedence for K-pop if they don't have to, if they don't sound westernized. They
Mm-hmm.
don't sound like American type of music.
Well, the one thing that I don't think people or a lot of Americans realize about K-pop and all, or well, we'll stick with K-pop for the most part, is, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you know something more that I don't, haven't they been groomed since they were like 4 and 5 to be
A lot of
okay?
them are being groomed,
Yeah.
and that's a sad thing as well with regards of colorism.
Yeah.
And if your music, there's a lot more talented Japanese
Mm-hmm.
and Korean artists that would even merge their traditional sounding pentatonic scales of music
Yeah.
to the modern hip hop contemporary pop world.
Yeah.
The sad thing is, it's because if it weren't for the heavy influence of the West,
Yeah.
I mean the Western Hemisphere, the
Yeah.
Europe, Americas, and all that, K-pop wouldn't be K-pop if they're not being dictated like that. To be honest, when I was traveling a lot as well, and in Japan, in Korea, I was like talking about music, their music. I was like, they're way beautiful. Like, I love, to be honest, before K-pop even became a thing, J-pop is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Japanese pop,
Yeah.
especially anime, manga. And I was
Yeah.
like, a lot of my friends are getting into anime. I was like, you're just getting into that. I was like, for me, I was like, what's a big deal? Because growing up, I've been watching a lot of animes like every single day
Mm-hmm.
in Asia, because it's just a regular thing for us. It's our cartoons.
Yeah.
And no, it's manga, it's anime. I was like, nope. There was even a time where everyone had to fight about Avatar being anime or a cartoon,
Yeah.
which is sadly is like, don't romanticize Asians, please, just because no.
Yeah. I
Like
got
how kabuki theater in Japan is almost the same as comedia,
you. Mm-hmm.
which is like but they're very different as well. Like a lot of there was a time where a discussion as well. Why is Miss Saigon and The King and I, a show about, and the Flower Drum Song, a
Mm-hmm.
show about Asians, but were written by white people, which and sometimes feels like, oh, right? There's
Yeah.
like a lot of those, which is why a lot of them are like those kinds of arguments and questions that are raised have to be even to look upon,
Hmm.
because that's why people are like now into K-pop and everyone's like, trust me, that's not how K-pop is
Yeah,
before. If
yeah,
it weren't for the heavy influence of the West, we wouldn't have. And if it weren't, like, trust me, like a lot of people are talking about horror movies, especially Halloween that's coming right now, like
yeah,
scary movies and all that. I enjoy a really good, scary, like gruesome horror
yeah.
movie. The ones that I really enjoyed are like from Japan, Korea, Thailand.
Oh yeah,
Asian horror movies are like another level.
yeah. Well, because that was the thing is, when I was growing up, I had a friend that was like really into horror films, and so he knew about all the Asian, the
Mhm.
Japanese stuff, and the Korean, like all the Asian stuff that was going on. And one day, a buddy of mine and I were talking about we had just watched The Ring for the first time, like the original
Oh my god,
American
the
version of The
original The Ring
Ring.
was like scared the hell out of me for
Yeah,
like a good week.
yeah,
I cannot look into a TV whenever I see I have to cover it up
yep,
just
yep.
because it's that
And
scary.
and this guy overheard us talking. He's like, "Oh, did you see the I think it was the Japanese version of The Ring or China? Like there was a
Yeah, the original. Yeah, there's like The Grudge and The Ring has turned into like has been Americanized,
yeah,
and
yeah,
even Shutter Island was Americanized with Leonardo DiCaprio. Shutter Island as well, right?
yeah, yeah,
Inception as well. Like there's a lot.
yeah, absolutely." And so he asked if we had seen it, and it was like, "Nope." And he's like, "Well, if you were scared by the Americanized version of The Ring, don't watch. Just don't
Don't
watch."
watch the original versions, which is like literally, like it's gruesome.
Yeah.
My favorite one of all was the Thai movie called Coming Soon.
Hmm.
I cannot go into any movie theater ever since because oh my god, that's so intense. It's so good.
Yeah. What do you think is what do you think the or what is the difference, or from your opinion, what is the difference that makes them? Because I've
Ah,
never seen like like the original like let's say the original version of The Ring, since that's kind of where I'm at.
oh
I've
yeah,
never
yeah.
seen like
Okay, the way one word,
okay, okay,
romanticism.
okay,
Like Hollywood overly romanticized a lot of things.
okay.
Well, if you're gonna watch, have you seen the original The Ring though?
The American version, not the
Watch
Japanese.
the original Japanese version. Like literally how the difference between two movies
Mm-hmm.
is very different. How the American version was so overly romanticized is
Mm-hmm.
very, very different. And for the Japanese original version was like so
Yeah.
like to be honest, like I cannot even find a really like, when people say like what's the famous like your favorite horror movie, I would not reference any American movie because they're all romanticized. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's a horror movie. That's suspense.
Yeah.
It's nothing
Yeah.
compared to the ones I've seen.
Yeah.
And then I would put up this movie and I would be like, "Yo, this is too much." I was
Yeah.
like, "Yo, told you so."
Yeah. For me, I like the terrible, like the very bad scary movies. Like the so they're so cheesy. There's one
I'd
like
laugh on those.
yeah. There's like right now I'm kind of going through my annual Halloween, like, oh, got to pull out every horror movie I own and watch them in October. I'm kind of going through that phase right now. And the other day I watched this movie called WrestleManiac, and
Oh god, it sounds terrible.
yeah, it is. It really is. So basically, this group of filmmakers, they make porn. Essentially, they're a bunch of porn makers. They're traveling through the back roads of Mexico, and they're looking for this town to shoot a scene or a film or a whatever in. And they stop to ask where the highway is, and the guy's like, "Oh, well, the closest highway is if you take this road 100 miles, and it'll get you to the highway." And then they start talking about this abandoned town where this deranged wrestler was banished to, and if you go into this town, the wrestler's going to kill you. Or
Oh my god.
and so, of course, by pure coincidence, one of the guys on the film crew happens to be a big wrestling fan, and he's like, "Oh, if we're going past this town, we've got to stop. I've got to I've got to see this town. And they stop, their car breaks down, the wrestler comes and kills the entire crew. And it's just like, the movie is so bad. It tries to be really good and tries to be like indie.
Uh-huh.
It is so bad. Like
I
it's
mean,
just
that's a sad thing though, because I've seen way better indie movies.
yeah,
The only indie movie that is from the West that I really enjoyed
yeah.
is Call Me by Your Name.
I've not seen that one.
It's by Luca. I forgot. It was with Army Hammer
Okay.
and what's it? Timothy Chalamet. It
Okay.
became a big hit,
Okay.
but
I'll
it was
check.
a really that's because it's still an indie movie that became a big hit.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that movie a lot.
Okay.
It's a real Luca Guadagnino, as
Yeah.
far as I can remember. I think it's based from a book,
Yeah.
and it's a really good depiction of the book. It's really really nice. It's a really
Okay.
really
I'll,
great
I'll
movie.
have to check that out.
Yeah,
But
you should. It's a quite an LGBT movie, but the way the story has been told is very interesting. The way the
okay.
movie is executed, everything, and they filmed on location in Italy, in a small town in Italy.
Okay. Awesome. And then on the other aspect, I like those really gruesome, gross out films. Like the coming straight to mind, I Spit on Your Grave. I don't know. Have you?
I heard about it.
Yeah.
That was, I believe, around the eras of like Saw, the first movies of
Yeah.
Saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember around those times, like even Final Fantasy was like,
Yeah.
this is nothing already. Like this is nothing compared to what I've seen.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Like I remember one night in college drinking again.
yeah,
We went and rented the first, so there's like the original 1970s version of I Spit on Your Grave, and then they remade it. And we bought
they
the
remade it or they remastered it?
no, they remade it. They like completely remade the movie, and we watched it and just like watched six dudes all drunk watching this film, and some of the stuff that happened in there, it was like, oh, that's cool. And then there's this one scene where she cuts a dude's dick off with a pair of gardening shears,
Yeah. Oh God.
and like you've never heard a group of grown men groan so loud because yeah. So and then after watching that, it's like, oh, there's a second one. So and then bought the second one, and then the third one, and so yeah, it's either terrible or gross out films. That's kind of where I'm at on the horror spectrum.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what, to be honest, like if I'm gonna reference a lot of like Western, like American films and the
yeah,
horrors like that, the most that I really enjoyed too, like Saw.
okay,
And yeah, like yeah, Saw is what I really enjoyed. I really really enjoyed Saw with
yeah.
Jigsaw and what else? Yeah,
Well,
Jigsaw's the best.
the one
I
thing I
enjoyed
did,
that a lot.
yeah, one that's like an overarching story. So that
Oh yeah,
there's
yeah.
like yeah. So
And Final Fantasy though, yeah, I only enjoyed the first like three Final Fantasies, and the last few was like, this is too much.
yeah,
There's no magic anymore. You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah, so those are the only ones that I really like enjoyed, like gruesome or like horror movies that I
yeah,
really enjoyed.
gotcha. And then as far as plans kind of moving forward with your music, your acting, your dancing, you're working on some original stuff, but how's the and then preparing for the Zoom show in October? That's kind of what you got going on, or
Yeah, and the Zoom show is next week.
oh,
I
next
am
week.
supposed to be in rehearsal tonight, and
Okay.
I kind of forgot. I kind of double booked myself, and I told them, yeah, I have booked. I forgot to have booked this on this day. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Like, yeah, you're good. There's a podcast show. I was like, okay, they're good. But I pretty much the entire story is pretty much the same.
Uh-huh.
The only difference is that there's like a lot of stuff that has been changed
Okay.
and like zoned in, like cut down, and but it's still the same show, so same show and same story.
Okay.
And there's apart from that as well, because I'm currently a contracted streamer in Live It,
Mm.
and I really want to bring live theater through that platform as well. Wherein I want to see how I can execute my play into like a virtual play
Yeah.
and to live it. That's why I'm also trying to settle with OBS,
Mm-hmm.
learning all about that stuff. That's why I have some my rigs as well.
Yeah.
Like I'm finding a way because I'm also trying to collaborate with a lot of our people. And lately, I've been inspired to create more a silent film, but very underscored of like
Yeah.
some of my original songs that I really want to play that I have on the works as
Yeah.
well. So it's basically like a musical, but silent movie underscoring. Basically, that's what I have right now. And
Awesome.
I'm still seeing how I can actually work that one out soon.
Mm-hmm.
And because, of course, at this pandemic, people would always going to find a way to earn an income.
Yep.
That's why I'm always saying that my privilege, even though I'm a person of color, is that I'm still able to work on the field of artistry
Mm-hmm.
and being an artist. And that's my privilege. And I don't want to ever take that for granted. I'm a creative director. I'm also an actor and a host. I'm also finding a way to, I'm still able to pursue and materialize everything, even though it's not as lucrative. And what, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, life of an artist is never lucrative. People would always over glamorize that. But no, that was never lucrative. And that's how I work on as well. Plus, I'm planning to to get license in order for me to officially record a few songs that I really really love
Mm-hmm.
and master it and release it as my own versions,
Nice.
because there's like a number of songs that I really would like to like put up first before I put up my music, my own written music. So that's what I want to do. I want to see. I'm trying to find a way on that one yet.
Awesome. Awesome. That sounds like it'll be a lot of fun. In as far as like your musical endeavors and working on your original stuff, um, do you like what's that process kind of been like for you? Like being able to, even when you can't go out or when you haven't been able to go out and act or, express yourself that way, what's the process been like for you working on your original music?
It's
And what's that?
hard.
Yeah.
It's hard because I'm primarily a lyricist. I'm not a musician.
Okay.
But whenever I get an access to like a piano or a guitar, or like there's something about sometimes in my phone, like there's like a piano app in the phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I plot melodies on there. I write it on, at least for me, I can sight read a little. I have a good hand on sight reading.
Yeah.
So that's how I do it. Sometimes like I sight read, or sometimes in the computer wherein there's like different platforms where you can write music.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I do it. And it's something that I became really slowly trying to get myself into, especially on the technical side, on mastering side, because I have the Adobe Suite in my end. I was
Mm-hmm.
a content creator anyway.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with the Adobe Suite, but mastering a song, and I at this time you literally, as a singer songwriter, let's say, or as an artist, you collaboration is life because you cannot do everything.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for people who can I can collaborate with,
Yeah.
because who can further finesse the work that I'm trying to put out, who can help me master the song and put it out whenever I can,
Yeah.
because resources are going to be heavy. Like, people have no idea how much you have to pay for you to master your own and release your own song.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sometimes I have to even ask for a lawyer because I have to copyright a song.
Mm-hmm.
I have to, like, protect my own songs, my own music as well. It's like it's a very it's a very different track compared to a lot of artists. I mean, I think that's one my advantage because of my law background.
Mm-hmm.
So for it is quite a long thing, but there are a lot of inspiration that's coming in. It's just a matter of me putting them together.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Well, I don't want to keep you too much longer because been going for about an hour, over an
Oh,
hour now.
are we?
Yeah. So I don't
We're
want to
having too
keep
much
you.
fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It was one of those things where it's just kind of like it's always interesting. Like we texted briefly before the podcast just to kind of make sure that we were still good for tonight and what have you. But when it's always interesting to see how these conversations are going to go when you don't have much context behind who the person is. If are they the soft, quiet type? Are they loud and outspoken? Are they like, can they drive just like you just don't know the personality of people. So you just like people always ask me, well, how long do these podcasts usually last? And I was like, I mean, honestly, for me, if we could sit here for 6 hours and chat, if the conversation goes that long, I'm down. But if the
That's me
conversation,
as well. I'm down.
yeah, but if the conversation lasts 20 minutes, okay, fine. That's like that's what it is. Like I'm not gonna sit here and
Exactly.
dictate that
You're a great host. You're a great host. Like
oh
we've tackled a lot of stuff.
yeah,
But you're really great as well. You're a really great host, and
really
that's what I like.
appreciate it. Have you thought about ever doing like your own podcast? Like
Yes, there were thoughts. There were a lot of thoughts about me putting up a podcast, but there's also because in Live It, there's already someone doing a podcast as well, and I'm the first guest.
mhm.
So I'm finding a way on how to further capitalize my podcast and see if I can do like voice acting
Okay,
podcasts,
actually,
wherein I can make it as a series.
funny.
I'm trying to see how if that how I can make it work.
Yeah, funny. I've always wanted to experiment with the idea of like it would be a shorter form thing. It wouldn't be an hour, 2 hour thing. It would be like a 15-minute radio style, like back in the 40s and 50s when they used to do like the radio style
Yes.
TV show or like well, yeah,
Yeah,
like
the radio style dramas and all
yeah,
that.
like the radio
Yes.
style dramas and comedies. I've always had this idea of doing something like that just to see how it went. Uh, because I've seen a few of them work really well, but the
Yeah,
issue is
even
they're
I
so.
believe the public theater did their production of Richard III in radio.
Oh wow, okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I was like, interesting.
yeah,
I was like,
I
I want to know how it's gonna execute that, but
yeah, because I lived in Roswell, New Mexico for a few years, and one of the theater guys out there who was also an audio, like he liked to do voiceover work and what have you. He started producing this short podcast series called Roswell, BC, which was Roswell before the crash. So,
uh-huh.
so like life before the alien crash, and it went really well. I think they did like 2 or 3 8 episode seasons, and then
Hmm.
they just kind of ran out of creative juice. But it's like at the end there, he started picking up steam. It was like, dude, you need to figure out a way to get more creative or bring in a writer or something because he was like really starting to pick up steam, and then he ended the entire thing. So yeah,
Yeah, and that's what I was like, I want to. That's something that I'm quite interested in as well. Because like, I want to know how it's gonna work. Because a friend of mine has just started doing a table read for a series that he was trying to put up, and a friend of mine, another friend of mine, has been making and producing and directing her own show
mm-hmm.
in YouTube, which is now gaining hits and it's now being getting attention of different festivals.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why for me, I want to see how I'll be able to work on my end, like how to make it work on my end, because I want to collaborate and capitalize as well on how to make it work with everyone, because I want it to be, I don't want it like a lot, because there's a lot of podcasts right now like talking about like very interview style setting,
Yeah.
but I have a friend who's doing like talking about all the Shakespeare canons.
Oh,
That's her. In every episode, it's a different Shakespeare play.
mm-hmm.
That's what she does,
Yeah.
and it's really interesting. And that's what I wanted to do. Like, I want to see how we can make a play reading on that
Yeah.
one, like what the public theater has done, but on radio. But I want to see how we can make it happen on my end as well. Like, I want to see if I'll be able to make my write and curate some stuff that I can, and how I can finance and fund it as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because not since we're all socially distancing, I want us with the same quality. I'm very quite particular as much as possible. I want us to be in the room while we're recording it
Mhm.
together so that it's easy. But of course, I have to practice. So we all have to socially distance and practice social distancing with each other.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But where can everybody find you online? Where can they find all your everything you got going on?
Yeah, you can find me at www.francismabborang.com. I'm also very active in my social media, facebook.com/official Francis Mabborang, Twitter, like my name, Francis Mabborang without the vowels. Instagram and TikTok are like Francis Mabborang, and also to Live It. So download Live It now if you really want. And that's where I'm most active at, Live It,
Okay.
because I'm always hanging out there, singing some songs, some tunes, chatting around, talking. Sometimes I would like play around, goof around, and like hang around with everyone. So go check me out there. It's a free app. You can live stream me there. You can interact with me in the comments. It's LIVIT. My social media handle is Francis Mabborang. So if you're watching or if you're listening to us right now, and tell them like, oh, you were in Live and Amplify. I heard you there. Or watch you there. Just go there because there's a lot of like it's a of any live streaming platforms that I have been. It has the best sense of community that I can actually say. So that's where I really want to look into it as well. That's like I want to see and bring more people there because it's a really great place for you to be a creator, for you to be also doing your own thing
Mhm.
because it's a very new platform here in the US.
Yeah. Is it something that's been used other in other countries, or is it
Yeah,
just
it actually originally started, I believe, in Japan or Taiwan in
okay?
Asia. It's big in there and was recently moved here in the US.
Okay.
It was being rolled out here in the US as of last year, and I've entered my third month already, and
Okay.
I'm enjoying it a lot.
Nice.
Yeah,
Awesome. You know, that's always always the real interesting part about apps and social media and stuff like internationally, because I always talk to people like in Asia or in just other parts of the world, and it's like, oh, hey, we're on Facebook, and it's like, oh, well, we don't use Facebook, we're on this, or we're on, they're just on different like it's interesting what's popular in different countries and that
yeah.
may not be available, either just isn't popular here or isn't
Is
available
it was
here.
used? It's used differently back in different countries. Yeah.
Yeah. But once again, I want to thank you so much for jumping on the podcast. I really appreciate you giving us the time to sit down and chat. It, like you'd mentioned earlier, we covered a whole gamut, a whole plethora of different things. So I really appreciate you sitting down and chatting with us and just kind of having a good old time. So I really appreciate it.
I
But
really appreciate you giving the platform for artists and artists like me as well. So yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Before we leave, I have to ask you one very important question.
Mm-hmm.
Since living in New York, what is your favorite American food that you've had since?
To be honest, I don't even know. I mean, I always run a poll and live it. Okay. Again, let's do this again.
Okay.
In and Out or Shake Shack? And to be honest, I really enjoy. I'm a foodie myself, so I would enjoy different kinds of foods.
Okay.
So as long as it's really interesting, I enjoy it. It's really good. It's tasty. I'll eat it.
Okay. Gotcha. Fair enough. Very political answer, but fair enough. I get it. But no, it's
It's
just
not
all.
political.
Yeah, but it's all good. I appreciate it. But once again, thank you so much for joining us. I really, really appreciate your time. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we will catch you guys